And with all these potentials and possibilities, what do you see as some main obstacles in implementing some of these best practices, these integration of technology tools in the classroom? What's keeping us from really grasping these models?
So one of the things that was most keeping was the fact that the infrastructure was so dang bad. You'd talk about the possibility and you'd walk into a classroom. I was in a school district once, and a teacher, after I did this great presentation about how great technology was and transformational it was, and she raised her hand and she said, "You ever tried to drink peanut butter from a straw?" And I laughed. I was like, no, what are you talking about? She's like, that's what internet's like in my classroom. So don't you come around talking to me about how to do this stuff till you fix the internet. And so largely that was a huge obstacle, and that is very quickly being fixed with these updates through the Connect Ed program that the president announced. And so that's a big piece. I think the second hurdle, which we talked about a little before, is having leadership have the vision for it. We do a lot, and we think a lot about teacher prep. We don't think not nearly enough about how we prepare our leaders, our superintendents, and our principals for creating the vision for how technology can transform learning. When we talk to teachers, one of the things we say, what can we do to help? They say, you really want to help? Get our leaders on board. Get them to understand what we need to support this, and then we'll be in good shape. And so that's something we need to think a lot more about, is how do we continually prepare leaders. And then if I threw one more in, I know I keep tacking more on, but if I threw one more in, I think it's sharing what's working. So there's so many great things that are working out in the field. They're great examples of all of this stuff, personalized learning, everything we've been talking about. We don't do a very good job of sharing stories in education. We just created on our site a tool, a story engine that we call it. And so we're collecting these great stories. And so you can go, eventually you'll be able to go and say, show me an example of personalized learning with one-to-one in a rural district 100 miles or less from me, and see examples pop up. But collecting those stories is really key, and helping school leaders be able to share back and forth with each other what they're doing. A lot of times you see we have a district right here on one side that's doing really great work. Literally across the street starts a new district, and it's totally different, and they're not doing anything that's very helpful. And they haven't even seen what they're doing. And so just helping to show what works. And there's only so far that you can go with data. I believe in data. I believe it's very important to be looking at. But while you need data, it's not very compelling. Right? What's compelling is walking into a classroom and watching kids that are totally engaged in learning. And you walk out and you go, well, something's going on there, that's awesome, and we need to be doing that in our school. So we've got to accelerate the sharing of those ideas.
I think it's interesting that you didn't even mention money, economics.
Yeah, I think that is, so to be clear, I would love for there to be a lot more money in education, right? If we could dump money all over schools, that would be great, and we should do that. But I think that's largely, that we can get caught up in that. And so, for example, one of the things that we talked about with schools, I've had schools call and they said, we'd love to transition to a model where we're using technology more effectively, but we just don't have any way to fund the devices that we need. No way. Can you just give us a grant that just gives us money? I'm like, nah, no money. Let's talk about how you're spending your money now. Are you buying textbooks? Yeah. How much are you spending on that? Oh, millions of dollars. Okay, there you go. How about copy machines? How much are you spending on copy machines, toner, and paper? Oh, another couple $1 million? There you go. Right there, we've just found the money that you need to make that transition. And by the way, you don't need those things if you have devices instead. Oh, right, like that is now. So I think there's a lot of money in the education system. Should we have more? Should we pay teachers more? Yes. But there's a lot of money in the education system, so we need to think very carefully about what can we stop doing, and how can we redirect funds to things that are going to get us a better return on investment.
Interesting. Very good. Stacey, do you have any questions?
Well, you said a little while ago that it's kind of crazy that we're teaching all kids the same thing. Mm-hmm. Are you thinking more in terms of, that made me think of Common Core and objectives. Mm-hmm. Like, is it crazy that we're teaching them all?
So I didn't say the same thing. Let's just be clear. It's that we're teaching them all
in the same way.
In the same way and at the same time. Okay. So I actually do think it's fair to be able to say, these are standards. This is why standards, standards are so misinterpreted. The media just loves to misinterpret standards. Standards are wonderful because they allow you to teach different things at different times to different people. Because they say, here's a common standard. So when we don't have those, everybody's just going to go through like a herd of cattle. When we say, here are standards, this is the standard we're reaching. If you're struggling to get this standard, there's a whole variety of ways that we could approach that. You could work on an activity. You could take more time to do it while others move ahead that have demonstrated competency against it, right? And so it's this great ability to decouple the delivery approach from the learning standards. And that's the fascinating part. If there's anything that the internet has taught us, is standards actually enable customization. And it's something that I'm so excited about. People often will say, look at this crazy activity, this crazy assessment question. See, common standards are bad. You're like, no, that assessment is bad. Throw it out and get a better one. And get a different one if you want for different students, if you're doing different activities. And that's all okay, because that's what common standards allow you to do. And so I think it's really important to see that common standards actually enable personalized learning.